Alright, so we're back with this hive here that we're going to follow through the year. This is the second inspection. Just getting the smoker lit here. It's going to be a good improvement over the previous week. We'll see here. So you can see I still have that burlap that I put in there last time. It was a little bit moist, which means it's good doing its job, pulling out any extra moisture in the hive. Then we also got a little screen box here. Really like these, kind of helps to keep everything up. This one's not so much, but other hives that have a lot of bees coming in them. That box is covered. And just a few little light puffs on their lid. Gonna take a gander in there, see what's going on. Alrighty, so good number of bees, not too bad. Checking the lid there, see if I happen to see the queen on there. Doesn't happen very often, but a few times it does. It'll really get your heart going. Alright, some light puffs. It's a pretty windy day when I record this, so the smoke might seem a little more directed than normal. Basically, I just wanted to look inside here. I'll give you a peek on top here in a second. Just wanted to give them a couple puffs because I'm going to break this off. Go straight down to where the brood was last time I was looking at this. Really, this time around, I'm just kind of trying to see see if they're starting making any drones yet. See how well they're building up, and we'll see they're doing all right here. No drones yet, unfortunately. So yeah, just give you a little gander right on. See, I mean, doesn't look like too many bees, but they're in there on every single seam up top. So looks like they have gone through a little bit of a hatch, which we will see here in a minute once we get down to that second box. So just had a look in there. I mean, honestly, that's what I do. Just take a look, and here you can see me put the inner cover back on. I break that off. You can also notice the mold that was on top of the frames last time is mostly gone. They've cleaned that up, as I suspected they would once the weather started warming up. And that box still does have plenty of honey in it, so that's good. And if you notice here, they've built back all that burr comb that we took off. It's been about 2 weeks since the last time we were in here, so that is to be expected. Just trying to, like I said, it's windy. As soon as I puff that smoke, it's just blowing away. Not even, the bees are like, oh, that's cute. So that's why it might look like I'm using a little bit more than last time you saw me in here. Just looking down in there, seeing what's going on. Now, normally, I don't know that I'd necessarily be worried about doing a full hive inspection. I mean, honestly, this hive is looking great. And I don't see any drone. That's what you're looking in there, seeing if there's any drone. Didn't notice any drone cells being built in that burr comb. That's usually where they like to build those because a little bit more room for them. Just kind of, come on, girls, get out of the way. Bees are pretty gentle. You can just kind of tap them out of the way. They'll move on you. Not a problem at all. And I mean, removing those burr combs is not 100% necessary. The reason that I do it is just mainly because I like to make it easier, and I don't want to worry about crushing any bees when I put it back. I kind of fiddle with this first frame quite a bit. And of course I did it again where I'm standing right in front of where I was, right in front of the camera. Eventually maybe I'll get a little bit better thing set up here. I mean, it's sitting on top of another hive right next to it, so that's what's going on there. Just kind of checking them out. Still plenty of honey on that. It's looking good. Man, those are just honey, so, you know, no point in inspecting them, seeing what's on them, what's going on. This one had some darker comb in there. And what I'm trying to point out here, but of course my camera work is not that good, is that is a full frame of pollen, and it's sitting right next to their brood chamber down there, which is fantastic. Go ahead and put that back in there. And doing some of my absolutely worthless smoking right on top because they don't care. It's windy. And I mean, it's not terribly windy, but it's windy enough that the smoke isn't really getting to them. And sitting here taking a little bit too long, probably looking at that frame there. And I think I'll end up showing it to you here in a second. Got a lot of pollen on the side there, and then what I'm trying to show is that center where it's hatched out. The queen has relayed that up, and those, you know, nice young, beautiful pearly larvae in there. And just tapping those frames. You know, there's a big difference between a commercial beekeeping and urban beekeeping. You know, I do, when you're keeping bees in an urban setting, you really want to be careful, you know, to not upset the bees. And there was another failed attempt to show you another hole in the center where they'd emerged and the queen had relayed it up. I switched the camera over to the other side there, try to give you a little bit better look at some of this. Nice emerging frame there. And let's see, how many frames is that now? 3 frames of brood, and a full frame of pollen. And this one, yeah, this is the end of their brood chamber in the bottom there. So I mean, there is definitely quite a few more bees. Oh yeah, and they're showing you again that frame on the edge there, just packed full of pollen. Looks like they're finding a little nectar somewhere. I don't know, maybe it's maple or something. It's got a little bit on it. Or maybe one of my neighbors is feeding their bees and open feeding. So this one I pulled back out, and I was really surprised I hadn't seen the queen. The queen in this hive is really, like, she's a good sized queen. Probably just shown there again on that center. I mean, that's full of eggs and larvae. But then this is really nice. You know, they got this nice band of pollen right around that brood chamber, and that's just something that, you know, any beekeeper would love to see, and especially this time of year where they're really starting to build up. It's just looking absolutely gorgeous. And I think I'll put that together. And so I'm putting a few puffs down on that edge because girls didn't want to get out, and they're like, "Oh, we want to get squished." So really trying to get them to get away from that, out of those corners. And normally you can just tap them a little bit and they'll do that, but they were insistent this time around. And I'm actually shaking that frame a little bit. Not that I'm trying to shake the bees off of it, but there was a little bit of robbing going on. Not heavy, not anything to really worry about, but I just want. Usually, if you just kind of wave it a little bit, it'll get the any robbers that are on there off before you put it back in. You don't have to worry about any fighting inside the hive. And put that top box back on. Now we're back up here at the top, and just getting the camera situated a little bit. And this outside frame here is that one that was half built on one side and had a little bit of nectar. It looks like they had pulled most of that nectar out of that frame too. It was looking pretty light. So might swap it out later for a full frame, something. And this one's just honey. Same on that one. And I pull out and take a gander at because it's opened up. See how much honey they had left on there. They did have some. What I am trying to show you here that I'm not doing a very good job at is that there was eggs in there. And the queen had started laying up top. And last time we were in here, I think those had a little bit more honey in them, so they must be, well, of course they are because they're brooding up. And then this one, comb's not super built out there. I don't know why I'm pointing at that, but I'm trying to show out that this whole frame is full of eggs and larvae, and what wasn't light enough, and it's kind of hard to see with that yellow foundation. And here's my feeble attempt of showing you the queen, and she's squirreling around there on the corner edge there. I end up setting this frame down, actually showing you she's a good sized queen. She's definitely being fed well. They are, and she's going to be quite the producer. This, just make sure I don't squish her when I set that frame down. There she is in all her glory. Just in case you couldn't have seen that, I'm sure a lot of you saw that. It's amazing how healthy she's looking. A queen that has a big, long abdomen that is almost looks like she's dragging a worm behind her. Those are the ones that always seem to be super producers for me. I fully expect within a couple weeks this hive is going to be doing well. Especially since I was checking other hives today, which is like 2 days after looking at this, and in another yard, and they are already producing drones. This yard usually is a little bit earlier, but who knows? Every hive is different. Every situation is a little bit different. I don't know if you had noticed there, but I'm kind of holding both ears of that frame, and I'm just kind of lightly tapping them. A lot of people, they get in a hurry and they just push them together and they crush bees. That gets bees upset. Upset bees will I'll let you know. And if in a commercial setting, I probably wouldn't be taking. I was probably into this hive for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It was a nice warm day, it's just kind of windy. Commercial setting, I probably would have not even spent this much time at all, period. Wouldn't even have looked, but I can understand where they get a little bit quicker at what they're doing, not as worried about crushing some workers, but I have a couple things, reasons why I'd like to keep it gentle. I'm in an urban setting, obviously, and then, um, you know, all you see is I'm wearing that veil, and that's pretty much all I wear. A veil and a t-shirt, and with no gloves, just because the way I like to handle them, and I like to be able to do that. Which, if you're crushing bees, you can't do that at all. So I'm putting it all together. This one's looking good, and we'll be back into this hive in a couple weeks. See where they're at.